And welcome back to Gallifrey Stands. I hope everyone's well this fine Saturday. So essentially, things have got slightly away from me here with keeping up with the Doctor Who episodes. So we're doing a little bit of a catch up today. I hope this is coming through okay. I'm just going to check on my headphones if I can work out where they're plugged in. As always, very, very organized here at Gallifrey Stand / the Dr. Squee Show host of podcast. Yes, that's coming through great. So guys, essentially, I've had a busy few weeks. I've been arranging, amongst other things, Squee Fest is coming this way soon. So for anyone who doesn't know, Squee Fest is our it's a fundraiser which I do. I mean, it's like average of every other year. So some I've done back to back, some there's been a couple of years breaks. It's been a couple of years since I last did one. So we're doing this year for neurodivergent charity, the Owl Centre, who are helping people get through the waiting list. And they're seeing them privately through the NHS. So they're funded for that. And they're, a charity who, as well as kind of getting people diagnosed with ADHD and with autism, also provide lots of advice and other services. Please do look them up. But this Sunday, so tomorrow at 7 o'clock, I'm going to be here, 7 o'clock British summer time. I'm going to be here talking about Squee Fest and what's in store. So it's this year, it's Squee Fest 5, Think Different. So more about that tomorrow, but I'm going to quickly try and go through a couple episodes of Doctor Who. I'm running and rushing because I'm actually going straight from doing this to watching the finale in the cinema. They're re-showing the first part of the finale, and then they're going to show the second. And so tomorrow, not tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to go through the final two episodes for Gallifrey Stands with some guests. But I wasn't able to wrangle a guest for today, so I'm just going to talk about the episodes. So first of all, we talk about the story in the engine, and it's actually been a long time. I actually started doing Gallifrey Stands. It was me on my own talking about the first series of Christopher Eccleston over 3 episodes. So this was really going back to the roots of the podcast. So a story only Ncuti could tell. This is what I really liked about this one. I think with the first Black Doctor, there are certain opportunities you've got to tell stories from a different angle, to tell stories authentically about the Black experience. And I love the fact that Ncuti is both as British as it comes and also a Rwandan of descent. And he brings that into his character as I believe he authentically does in his life. And that's kind of really interesting as well. And it just adds so many new flavors. I mean, that's why to me, having the first female Doctor, the first Black Doctor, the first anything in Doctor Who adds this opportunity for stories you've never been able to tell before. So I think that's really great. But anyway, I like the entrance into the story. So we kind of hear a story being told, and then we enter into the credits through the wall where you can see the credits for Doctor Who. That was very nice. And it's, you've got the scene where the first incumbent Black Doctor, so I'm using that phrasing very carefully because I know Joe Martin was in previously, but I think there is something particularly special about a first on running Black Doctor in Doctor Who. And it's a first income black doctor talking to the to an Asian companion about acceptance for being black and being Asian, and how kind of how Belinda got taken to India when she was a child. And I think that that feeling of a place that you've got acceptance outside of areas where maybe you don't feel more accepted, sorry, really made me think about going to Comic Cons and stuff. And that's the experience which I have when I'm there. It's like during daily life, I'm a little bit off kilter as a person. I'm a bit neurospicy, as a term a lot of people use. And so when I go to Comic Con, it's people who think like me, who act like me, who are a bit kind of outside the box like me. So I could really relate to that feeling of that kind of a place of acceptance. And yeah, for some reason the TARDIS goes red, but doesn't play the cloister bell straight away. I think they were saving it for the later bit, but it kind of just seemed weird to have another alert sound. If it's that much impending doom, you just go to cloister bell, don't you? Or is it like the red alerts cloister bell? I don't know how that system works, but there we go. Oh yeah, there's a lovely little pic where they were saying about appointments not counting in Africa. It just very much reminds me of Ireland, where my mum's from, where equally appointments are just a serving suggestion. We'll be down the pub having a Guinness, it'll be fine. And yeah, the hair's growing and the connection to the storytelling tradition, and they tell the story of Yo-Yo Ma. I thought that was really great. And again, this idea of kind of like the story that only Ncuti amongst the doctors we've had so far could tell is really borne out by that. It's like, that tradition of African storytelling, even though they don't particularly mention that, feels very present in this story. And the thing of the barbershop as well. There's even a film called Barbershop with Ice Cube where he talks about this whole thing about like the barbershop was somewhere where people could congregate. You wouldn't just go in there for a haircut. You go in there to hang out because that's where you knew you'd find people who were also black, who were also having the kind of same troubles you had. And it's become a generational thing, it seems. And again, just being invited into that world I wasn't familiar with. And I love the idea that the TARDIS can make Shu's hair longer or shorter, but he's not going there for the haircut. Again, it's about kind of hanging out with people who've had experience like he has had, which I can totally relate to. Oh yeah, it was a lovely term. Music was a living thing. Now they want it to all be the same, or something along these lines. It was a lovely bit of poetic writing there. And it's nice, like, you had to sit in the chair to make it work. So obviously the Doctor's trying to explore this kind of the way it kind of conjures up these images. And of course it's catnip to the Doctor. Like, tell him that the only way to experience and know what's going on is to sit in this chair, but it's going to be really dangerous. Of course the Doctor's going to have a sit down. Oh yeah. And I love the storytellers. Sorry, I'm going to forget the name, but the storytellers lady friend. I loved it when she just did that little intake of air, which is just a fantastic way of going, you guys are in trouble. It was really nice. Giving a haircut to the own and customers. Oh yeah. I love the fact that the way the kind of storyteller took over the place was by giving the haircut to the owner, and it's only people who love the place the most who can, who get trapped there because they want to persevere so much to get into this place. So it's kind of like you get this real sense of connection to that place for all the characters, which was really nice. And it's it's kind of how do I put it? It was kind of an interesting concept that the thing that you love and your love for it can be the thing that will make you trapped in this place. Nothing is more vivid than an ordinary life. That was a nice little quote as well. So the Doctor talks to Belinda and tells the story of an NHS nurse's sacrifice, and I thought that was really lovely. I melt instantly at any mention of the NHS and what people like the nurses on the ground do on a daily basis. And that's so the Doctor. It's like he would pick an everyday act of kindness as the most brilliant story he could tell. He's not going to tell stories of Cybermen, Sontarans, Daleks, anything like that. It'll be about his companion, that personal relationship they had, and the fact that she cared enough to kind of point out that this woman was in danger by the course they were taking, that they'd made the wrong call, and that she would miss her own grandmother's birthday to be there with the patient. It was lovely, a little bit of business there. And Mrs. Flood comes briefly into the story when we're, telling the story of Belinda back there, keeping her ever present. I love the shop. I love you. I love this shop. I loved you, Omo. That's the Doctor, yeah, when he feels so hurt by the fact that this friend which he's made, which he trusted completely, that he found this place, a place of sanctuary, and that person should turn their back on him and basically, betray the Doctor. And it was, again, it's this thing of like, it's a personal thing that feels like the actor portrayal. You may be being scared and acting irrationally. I think the Doctor would be understanding of, but he gave you friendship and you gave him back danger. If they just asked him to go in and help them, or said, "Doctor, you're our only hope," he wouldn't have worried. But like the fact that he was tricked into it was a lovely way of doing it. And I thought this was actually a better way of exploring emotion than I've noticed in this series. We've had less Shooty crying. I think this is an edit they've done after the feedback from the first series, because the only tool you have if you filmed your series back to back to make any changes based on the audience reaction is a different edit. So I think scaling that back was a sensible idea. I'm just guessing that. I don't know. It might be they just purposely show the emotion more in the first series, but it seems like a choice by the fact that the first few episodes were as they were, like they seem to have the crying in it, and then it seemed to kind of scale back in this series. I'm just going by memory there, but I believe it was the first few episodes he cried a little bit. Funnily enough, your friend of mine, Captain Jim, who joins me on Gallifrey stands quite often, he had this thing, he started playing this game of like, and putting this in group chat, which we're in, of when Shooty going to cry. And he started it the week, which I think was the first time of this run where he just stopped crying. So it's like, I think Jim kind of willed it into stopping maybe. But I thought this was a lovely way. Like it's not like the Doctor can't show emotion. It's not like he can't cry, but crying every episode and that being your only default tool disempowers it. And also you do want the Doctor to be able to be robust in some situations. Yes, he should have emotions, and yes, that is teaching young men that it's okay to cry. That's great, but crying isn't your only tool in the tool belt, and you still want the Doctor to give you that security that he'll work through a situation. We'll get back onto the Doctor's emotions in a little bit. Anyway, barbershop in space in the back of the Spider. This gave me very big Pratchett vibes as well. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Belle breaks into the barbers, her passion for the Doctor and their friendship. Maybe I was wondering if that was the reason why she was able to break in when no one else could enter, because she wasn't passionate about going in there and getting a haircut, but she was passionate about the friendship she has with the Doctor. It's not mentioned, but I like headcanoned it a little bit there. Love it when Shooty goes between accents, like I was saying, being able to bring in his Rwandan side. I never feel like it's forced either. I mean, it's like I believe that in his daily life he goes between those accents because he's brought up around those accents, and I've heard that with friends before who've had families who speak in a different language but they speak English around other people. I've heard people kind of switch between these accents. I always found it really weird with John Barrowman's the only one which I really feel a bit suspicion around that. And I'll explain why. It's because whenever I hear him doing the Scottish accent, it's usually on a political thing or kind of something I don't know, it just seems weird. It's like he did this thing for Scottish independence. Sorry, I'll get back onto the topic in a second. And he did a Scottish accent. It seemed like, not that it wasn't natural for him to do, but that he bust it out at times which seemed like they're convenient to what he's trying to sell. And that just felt a little disingenuous to me. But anyway, that's a little aside. And I loved it when they were listing through all the gods, and it's the gods of mischief, the gods of theatre who dwell within this being, as he was trying to sell to the Doctor at the time. And a lot of the gods I relate to, you know, Loki, the god of mischief, the god of theatre. So that was nice. And it's nice. I love the idea of Doctor Who telling the story of storytelling, given that Doctor Who is so immersed in storytelling. And this was really lovely. And it just felt like such a huge Doctor Who concept. I said earlier on in the series with episodes like the one with the rocket in the first episode, they were fantastic. But I feared they were like, that felt more like a sort of Flash Gordon modern retelling in some ways more than a Doctor Who episode, you know, that could only be a Doctor Who episode. This felt like an episode which could only be a Doctor Who episode, and those are the ones which I feel like are the strongest. But then when the God of Stories has finished, or you know, the Avatar of Stories built by the gods has finished telling his tale, everyone just starts running about laughing. I just wish RTD would stop doing this. He's done this like he used to do it with Rose and with a lot of the other characters. It's this really false, forced laugh, which never feels comfortable or natural. Just kind of, yeah, you can have them mocking him without doing a laugh, and I don't know. It was another one of these moments where it's a disconnect. It didn't feel like they were really laughing. You know, the Rose episode, which I'm thinking of the most, is when they talk about, or we could just leave, and then they burst out laughing, and it's just not as funny as the joke. And it's like, yeah. So the Doctor talks about drinking all the wine with the gods and watching Marvel movies with him. Very much remind me of a Matt Smith kind of energy, which Ncuti does at times. They were both very big, brilliant doctors with energy to spare. The barber is made from the gods, the storyteller, and had made the recent madness the Doctor experienced, and it fills in some of the logic from the episodes like Lux, and why a cartoon came to life. If you've got a god of storytelling, that explains a lot of things. I know some people have got a problem with the fact that Doctor Who's now doing stuff through magical means, as a show, sorry, Doctor Who, not as a person, through magical means, not through means of you know, science. But all you could do is really add in your head the extra step of, like, which they usually do, of saying it's like, but this science seems like magic, but if you understood how it works, which they used to do in Doctor Who all the time, they just mention that they're false gods. To me, it's just the Doctors now calling them gods as opposed to pointing out they're false gods, and actually is technology which is more advanced, and blah 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 blah. Or they're just ancient beings. It's fine. It's space magic. Let's just have some fun with it. As long as they tell great stories like this, that's all I want. And this was a real high point, I think. So now we see that Joe Martin's God was the one to blame for the again, sorry for forgetting the name, but the storyteller's lady friend in The Barber, for her character being mad at the Doctor. And we then see the fugitive Doctor, and it seems that Ncuti knows about her. So is this effective, all the changes to reality that have broken that kind of line between that, you know, those memories? Is it that the Doctor just eventually, after that just batshit thing where, like, they flushed it, like, into the TARDIS, basically they put the watch with all the memories after spending a whole series looking for them? Why? Just, there's no logical reason why after all that the Doctor goes, yeah, maybe later. The Doctor would always want to know about their past. It just didn't make any sense to me. So I think at some point Ncuti's had a look. Hopefully we'll have that filled in, because the thing is, like, this is starting to look like, yeah, RTD might have an explanation for why there's logic holes throughout the first two series, which are filled in by the storytelling magic. But yeah, it's part of me which, like, I know RTD, he does seem to think that, I don't know, there was just an earnestness when he was saying about, like, the fact that oh yeah, we don't need, like, logic anymore, we don't, you know, basically just if it serves the story, it doesn't matter if it kind of makes, you know, sense to canon. Not his exact words, but pretty much. And I think he's kind of got that side to him. So I don't know if this is a case of like with Moffat always lies. I don't know if it's that or if it's something else, but we will see. So sorry, I'm just belting through this as quick as possible to get through the other episode. love the love Bell getting to talk to the lady Barbara around, and great message of kindness in that. I think it's very Doctor Who that, you know, you talk people down, that if you can make the baddie not a baddie, like if they weren't a baddie, if they were misunderstood, and you can you know, win that character around, I think it's a very powerful Doctor Who thing. I think you could have empathy for the storyteller and what he'd been through, and the fact that he was kind of made and sort of just left to it by the gods. I thought it was really kind of great, and it reminded me of that, like Chris Eccleston, where he's going, "Oh, give me one day like this where everybody lives," and this felt like the Everybody Lives episode for Shooty in a lot of ways. And women weaving stories into the cornrows to make a map. That was fascinating. I never knew about that, and I love it when Doctor Who can drop in a bit of history, because a lot of times when there is historical episodes now, it's played lighter and more for fun than actually facts about the time. Like, you know, the Beatles episode, it just really annoyed me. The Beatles were barely in it. And then we're meant to have this connection at the end when they solve the day. Whereas this, the characters were integral to the history of the area, to what was happening. And I thought it was a wonderfully told story in that way. So, oh, if I scroll back by accident. Anyway, so yeah, sorry, just lost my place. Oh yeah, the heart brain tree thing in the spaceship was awesome. Kind of reminded me of a console room of a TARDIS, though, the look of it. And if you looked at those shelves, it looked a lot like the memory TARDIS. So or the remembered TARDIS. I'm wondering if this is going to turn out to be a TARDIS, or, you know, based on the TARDIS, given everything that the Rani we know now. Sorry, spoilers alert. Sorry, if you haven't seen the penultimate episode, we are talking a week later. But spoilers. Just to warn you. Sorry, I should have said that before. But spoiler alert. So yeah, we know now it's the Rani is involved in machinations. So you know, is this based on the TARDIS, the storyteller's vehicle? Lovely way to show the Doctors on the TV, because we've had that moment of all the Doctors being shown. It's usually just like one, the other, and they kind of broke it up. They showed them on TV screen, so as the Doctors moving about, you see more of the Doctors coming in and little bits of dialogue. Very nice, different way of doing that. And I just love the line. Just something about this line just really got me. With the lady storyteller of the gods, she said, "Little brother, run like the wind." And it was just really nice. It's like she was connected back to the place, and she wasn't feeling that rough, and she saw like they are brothers and sisters. It was just really nice. And yeah, the solution was to bring the guy around. He was born on a bad path, but we're not only the worst things we do, which is a very Doctor episode theme as well. Some lovely Sonic episode throughout the episode. I thought you had got those touchstones of the Sonic, of the TARDIS. Where you don't have the outfit, I feel like you do need a few touchstones to remind you this is a Doctor Who story. This could only be a Doctor Who story, as I was saying before. Doctor makes up with his friend, which is nice. Lovely line about mortal telling a god life lessons. And it ends on Once Upon a Time. What a great episode. We now swiftly move on to the Interstellar Song Contest. And they wake up Ryland. I love Ryland, but how does that work? Like, I know this is like nitpicky. You're meant to just enjoy stuff. I get it. But like, for me, it takes me out of an episode if I'm thinking, yeah, but Ryland looks like that now. Ryland will age as years goes on. So is he sent in the future? Does he then go back to the past, then go in cryogenics again? How does this all work? Why is Ryland a time traveler suddenly? I like a bit of stuff filled in. Again, maybe it's the storyteller's influence, but it's still then, this is an episode, feels lesser for it. So even if they do explain later that any logic holes were storytelling based, it's not the same for me. But anyway, yeah, and give me some ore, and then Ryan goes, ore, no, ore, OWE. Very nice little bit of business, and I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of these things were sort of ad libs or inspired by Roland at all. nice character beats talking about the Eurovision and having it go out on the night of the Eurovision Song Contest. BBC's done this lots of times before where they theme in a program, and I think Doctor Who's themed in before, if I'm not mistaken. I believe Power of the Doctor, the reason why they made a bit of a bigger deal of that episode with kind of having the past Doctors in and stuff, not only because it's a regeneration episode, but because of the centenary of the BBC and the 5 Doctors happened on Children Need. So, you know, there's lots of ways in which Doctor Who like to theme in with what's happening with the BBC. Mrs. Flood's completed a thing and then starts eating grapes in the theatre. I thought the grapes were a weirdly nice kind of touch, because who takes grapes to a theatre? It's sort of like calls to mind in the Colosseum where they would eat grapes as they watch the proceedings. So it's nice kind of that she's picking elements from out time. I also I'm going to jump about a bit here, but yeah, while we're on Mrs. Flood, I think I've got a little theory, because again, spoilers, when it's revealed that she is the Rani and they regenerate, and you've got the new Rani seems to take charge, and the Anita Dobson Rani seems then subservient, that rankled with me. But I was wondering, maybe did Mrs. Flood visit the Sisters of Khan much the way the Doctor did, and maybe that's how she kept under the radar? She kind of like she chose what kind of she would be. So the Doctor chose warrior. Maybe she chose to blend in this subservient way, so she could be the next door neighbor who's getting up to these machinations. But the way everyone else saw her, maybe it create this kind of field, maybe some sort of chameleon arch involved as well. I don't know. She seems to know who she is, but she doesn't seem like the Rani would usually be. Like the Rani would never go, it's like, yes, mom, because there's another version of her after the Bi-generation, which, again, let's just cover it now. Bi-generation, I'm sorry, it's just visually not interesting. The idea, I don't mind. I mean, still though, you then are meaning, like, I mean, Rani, fine. We haven't seen the Rani in ages, so seen 2 versions. We can get to know both of them, fine. Getting multiple Rani story, that's nice. But with the Doctor, it was like, even though it's really nice to see the 2 Doctors bouncing off each other, I want it to be the new Doctor's time to shine when they regenerate. So they take front and center. No other versions distracting, especially since the other version we already know. And don't get me wrong, Ncuti has far from lived in the shadow of anyone, but just stylistically, that's my preference. And just like pushing each other apart. It doesn't have the same energy of this explosion of color and your face changes. No, you just split up with the old version of yourself. Yeah. Not my personal choice anyway. I think this would have been a really interesting historical one, actually, the Eurovision. I think it would have been really nice to have taken a Bucks Fizz or something. I love all the energy of the connection to Eurovision, that there's that lovely couple, which is our avatar through the story of that love. Very reminiscent of our love of Doctor Who. I'm not a Eurovision guy. Sometimes I tune in, it's fun, but it's just not a passion of mine. But I instantly understood that passion in the way they delivered it. When the guy said, the guy from the couple, I'm shit with names, but the white guy of the couple, when he said, this is part of me. Why can't you understand that? And it was just, that's how I feel about Doctor Who. It's literally part of me. It's part of like who I chose to be, was based on lessons I learned from Doctor Who. So many things in my look. For my stage work, I've now got a 3-piece suit and a pocket watch, which is very Doctor Who-esque. And it was a huge influence on me. So I can totally see why Eurovision would be that. And I think RTD's got this wonderful way of welcoming you into, I hope this phrase comes across correctly, but like welcoming you into a gay story and in a gay world, and things which maybe a straight audience doesn't experience. I'm not saying that Eurovision is always gay, but this was a gay couple telling the story of Eurovision, and there is that side to it where it's very LGBTQ friendly. And I just thought, he just got a lovely way of making themes universal, so it welcomes you into worlds you wouldn't know. So same thing with the last episode and the writer of that. It just really made you feel like you could understand something, maybe some elements you hadn't heard before about the Black experience in a way which is very universal. It made the things very specific, very universal to everyone, without selling out the specificity, if I may use that word. I thought that was happening here as well. art, yeah, goes a bit Die Hard with Eurovision with the character of Kid. The outfit on the performer looked like a negative Spider-Man costume. That was a bit weird and sort of took me out. Just didn't look right, but lovely song. Songs were really nice in this. The station is shut off from the comms. Seemed like you'd have an override for something like this. Would you just have comms switched off with no way of overriding it for emergency? You'd think of this, wouldn't you? I don't know. The Doctor ends up in space, manages to wake himself up a la Leia in Star Wars, the newer ones, the sequels, and a la David Tennant falling through the sky and landing, and that doesn't trigger his regeneration. Just logic takes a backseat. They then came up with a Mavity thing, I know, and Mavity, for fuck's sake, that's a joke which has run its course. Can we lose the Mavity now? It wasn't that funny to begin with. Sorry, I know RTD loves it. He thinks it's hilarious, but damn. Could that be part of the story thing? You know, Mavity, that's why it was so easy to change that word. It's because stories were changing reality. Let's get rid of it. Anyway, yeah, and then he goes flying through space on a glitter cannon. Is it just a little bit on the nose? I'm just wondering, for the first openly gay Doctor to travel through space on a glitter cannon. I don't mind some camp and some silly and some fun in Doctor Who, but I want to feel like the show is being treated seriously. What I loved about when the show came back and the way it was looked at was serious, and you had campy elements, but for the whole, it was like a serious take on Doctor Who, and just stuff like that feels like it's almost like piss taking because it's so out there. And yeah, I mean, she made it fun. He said when he came back in, it's like, oh, camp, just great. He plays it really well, but for me, I could have lost that, I must say. Hold the front page, though. Susan's back. We get to see her on the new TARDIS as well. She says grandfather, which is just, yeah. And we're just now, sorry, and we just know, sorry, we're going to get a symbolic meeting of someone who was there through the earlier years and the Doctor, the current Doctor with the new face. And I think that symbolic kind of like moment of not handing over the torch, but kind of this is all part of a piece, because people have done fan art where they put the first Doctor with whoever's the new Doctor. But having Susan there, I think, would be wonderful. And Susan's reaction to a Doctor who's so different, and maybe she helps him find himself again because of events which happen, which I'm going to get into shortly. Okay, I'm going to have to get the train after I was planning. It's fine. Yeah, done with the Mavity bullshit. One note joke. I like the cocky Doctor. You have to, and I've deleted the rest of that line. So something Doctors being cocky about. Planet Hillier just made me think of garden centers. I don't know if anyone else has got Hilliers near them, but just distracting here. We've got Hillier's garden center. So when they said Hillier, it's like, gonna get some shrubs. Seems like an odd time. Love the couple making up, and the whole vibe was just beautiful. This was just, those characters were lovely, and it was just a simple romantic couple who were having a fight, who make it up by the end. It was just, it felt like, as I say, they were us in that situation with our partners going through a tough time, and then all this incredible stuff happens around them, and then they make up because they realize in the face of all this, that shit's more important. And it was just really nicely done. It was lovely. Not as worried about Norton. Sorry. Oh yeah, not right. What I was saying earlier about Ryland appearing and the fact that he looked so young. I've got to say, look, I haven't seen the Graham Norton show in years. But I see it every now and again. I see the adverts. I just see little bits of it. It's just me, or did Graham Norton look really old here? I'm sorry, like, I don't mean to sound catty, but like old, like does he look like that now, or have I just seen him in good lighting on the show or something? Maybe it was holographic lighting. It just really seemed to age him badly, and I felt bad for the guy because he doesn't usually look that old. I don't know, maybe he's just gone with something new. I'm very in support. It was just surprising because it was so different to what I was expecting him to look like. But yeah, I do think it makes a difference though, because Graham Norton is that much older. The amount, sorry, I'm trying not to be insulting or rude, but just the amount that he's likely to look different going ahead is going to be less. If you've Ryland's still relatively young, and just I think the age is just going to be apparent when we look this back. I mean, RTD likes to do this, using what's in culture at the moment and putting it into the episode in the future. And I always think it ages the episodes really badly. I think that's what I'm getting to. And I'm sorry to Graham Norton, not he's watching, but if anyone's a fan, I don't mean to insult the guy. I love him. I've known him since, Jesus, before Father Ted. I'd seen him on the comic scene on TV and stuff. And he had his show on Channel 4, but I digress. Yeah, I think that's it, though. It's like, it's when you see Anne Robinson now in The Weakest Link in the Christopher Eccleston episode, and it's from my friend Nathan hosting it now. I just knew when I saw these things first in Doctor Who happening when RTD took over, they would age badly, and I don't know. Little things like that really do sort of take me out of an episode. Anyway, love the couple makeup. Yeah, not as worried on. Susan comes up again, so she's kind of peppered throughout the episode. We get a showdown between the Doctor and Kid. He says he's the Doctor and the last of the Time Lords, and they do that thing about like that would make a good band name. Is that a reference to the Doctor and the Time Lords? Was it? He did the Doctor Who song. I feel like that's a reference to a band. Anyway, and you put Ice in My Heart, Darling. I thought it was a really nice sort of roaring war cry from the Doctor when he said that. But then he calls back to it several times, and it sort of felt like the law of diminishing returns. It's like you were trying to make sure we didn't miss the joke where we caught it the first time. I don't know. Please do. Anyone's watching this, by the way, tell me what you think. I'd love to hear. Please be nice. But yeah, let's open up the conversation a bit. But I thought that was just a bit overplayed. It was such a lovely poetic line. Saying it more times just takes away. Guy in the orange suit looks immaculate. I've just put. This guy near the end, he was an executive and he was in an orange suit and he had this perfectly manicured beard. Just looked amazing. I think Shooty's just made me notice the fashion in Doctor Who a lot more. But yeah, just so well. Like, he'd had that professionally done. Anyway. Lady in the gold dress cut off her horns. I thought that was a lovely mirror. It was a lovely mirror for kind of animal hunting, and such small things come out of such a big thing taken away. So you've taken off someone's horn, some part of their look, their identity. The same with animals in the wild who actually use it for protection and things like that. You have taken something great away from them, in this case to make a flavoring for honey. And similar happens with some animals which are hunted to extinction. I loved all that. But it's putting that in at the end of an episode where the theme wasn't that throughout, and there's already so many other themes. So you've got the Eurovision, you've got the Die Hard kind of one, you've got this lovely couple which we're following, you've got all these elements, and now you chuck in an endangered species episode. I think what this episode suffered from the most was just not tunneling in on one thing. I mean, if you made this, as I say, I think you could have told such a good historical about Eurovision and the story of Bucks Fizz winning, and maybe that's in danger. That for me would have been a much more powerful story, and then you just tunnel in on that and not do all the stories around it. So maybe you have a sci-fi story to go along with the Bucks Fizz story, but then it's two channels you're going down which weave together, as opposed to about 10 in this episode, as it felt to me, what was generally quite a fun episode. And as I say, Ryan's great. I don't know why. For some reason, I used to not like him, but I've really I think it's when I heard him on the Off Menu podcast recently, and I thought he's great. Why did I have any issue with this guy? Maybe it's Maybe it's like Shooty showing me more of camp culture in a way that Ryan uses, because Shooty use that in this performance, and maybe it's just something I hadn't been as exposed to. I don't know, but I just find Roland very entertaining. But I thought his usage in this, yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to see more of him if nothing else. He's a great guy. I think he could have shouldered a bit more as well. So yeah, they made the honey from the horns. The Doctor being angry as a threat was really cool. But it feels like the Doctor still he's saying how much he loves the couple, very Doctor moment. The other one to Kid, was it Pip, the female assistant? I mean, I'm not great with names anyway, but she felt very like a sidekick kind of character. It was definitely Kid's story. I sort of feel like she didn't get enough for her to be this sort of Bonnie and Clyde couple. They were trying to, I feel like, suggest they were, but it seemed like every time something needed to be done or decided, Kid did it. And usually if you've got the second one being subservient, you then have a thing like, because she is being used like that and not being treated as an equal, maybe it's the way of the Doctor talking them around. But it didn't seem to do this. It just seemed like she was kind of forgotten about in the writing, and just as a tool so that Sun was undercover when Kid wouldn't be. So yeah, it's just that too many elements in this episode. I think, maybe you make Roland both of those things somehow. Maybe he's working with them more. Really do something weird with Roland if you've got him. And the speech to the bad guy, which the Doctor gives, is very Doctor-like. It's all lovely. It's all that kind of thing of like the Doctor against this angry place, then being talked down, which I really liked. We've got a comment. Hey, do you think the show can be saved? The core of sci-fi and fantasy. Thank you, the core. Thank you very much for watching. Yeah. I mean, I don't think the story whole cloth for me needs saving. I think it needs some tweaks, certainly. I mean, as I say, I've explained why I think the gods things is okay. I think it's just you don't say, oh, it's technology that looks like the gods. You just save your time by just saying they're gods. Yeah. I think they could maybe clarify a few things, like how does it work with the timeless child? I mean, you've just thrown out this kind of nebulous thing, and I know they wanted to put more mystery into Doctor Who. Usually when they put in a big thing like that, it's to create mystery again. So the Time War was a big mystery, and then Moffat sort of filled in some bits of it, and I thought it was very well done. He'd taken all these like disparate little mentions and put them all together into something cohesive. So we eventually found out what it was, because it's fine to have a mystery, but you don't want a mystery to be something you never get solved. And now apparently Ncuti remembers all the stuff from the Timeless Child arc, and it's just a bit messy. I like the Doctor being a bloke from another planet. I mean, it was even RTD who said in the past that it's like the Doctor's a bloke in the pub. He just happens to be the smartest bloke in the pub. So he's one of us, but he's just smarter than everyone else. And that's nice. And then he seems to have gone against that now and said the Doctor is basically a god himself. He walks with the gods. He is seen as a god. He kind of is a god. And it takes away from, and even the Timeless Child stuff made him a god. He's not one of the Time Lords. He has infinite regenerations possibly. And it's not the same guy as I was following, who was just a madman in a box. He's a god in a box. So I think you just play it differently. You just kind of maybe do something which makes sense. The timeline, I think already RTD smoothed out some edges from the Timeless Child arc. I think Chibnall, unfortunately, was just very good at like, here's a mystery box. You're going to close it? No, I'm just going to throw out another one. It's kind of like the Lost principle of I'll figure out later what it is, but he never really did. So yeah, I think it's totally savable. The core of sci-fi. I've just not connected with the show since 2017 and strangled massively with the last two incarnations. I'll be honest with you. I did not take to Jodie's incarnation the way it was written. I think she's a great actor. I think she's got the ability to play a wonderful Doctor. But it was just too, the Doctor was anxious and would like anxiety is a fine thing to introduce. Again, I don't mind the Doctor having these human traits, but I want to see the Doctor overcome them and teach the companion ways of overcoming them, and not always be like that. So because the Doctor said she was socially awkward, she then didn't talk through with Yaz when she was struggling, and it's like, I don't want the Doctor to leave the companion on his own because they feel socially awkward. Again, that's a fine trait to have, but the Doctor's still got to be able to save the day. That is an integral part of the Doctor, and I feel like that was missing. Ncuti, I think, he's getting close to there, and like in episodes like the engine and the story, I think he gets to that place that you're talking about of like it being like Doctor Who that I want to see anyway. But then in other episodes, it's sort of like, oh, well, don't worry about the logic of it. We might explain it at the end of 2 series. You have to know what's going on. The story has to work on its own if you want it to be able to be watched alone, unless you're doing an ongoing story like with Flux, which I think was one of the higher points of JD, but still to me just didn't make much logical sense. I just want logic to return to Doctor Who. I want there to be some rules that make some kind of sense. Otherwise, what's the point? You can just have stuff happening and it's just nothing. It becomes so nebulous, it's not about anything. I'm going to get back to the point, though, in a second, the call, because I have got to go. But thank you. I'm loving all this. But please drop some more comments and I will reply to them later, okay? We'll still keep the conversation going. It's just a time crunch today. It's for me to get to... I'm actually... This isn't the peak of nerd. I'm torn between talking about 2 episodes of Doctor Who and going and seeing 2 episodes of Doctor Who at the cinema. Yeah, peak Doctor Who problems. The thing I love about Classic Who, the thing the core loves about the Classic Who, especially the 60s, is the mystery. The older I'm getting, the more I'm loving Hartnell. I just started planning Planet of the Giants last night. I totally agree, but there's ways of having a mystery that you will maybe even play out for 4 series, whatever you want. But then at the end, there is an answer, and there's some mini answers along the way that keeps you invested and keeps you caring about the mystery, not just there being holes in the episodes. That's how I feel about it. So, I think Doctor Who was great in the early days, just having the mystery, and over the years they filled in, and then they had new mysteries. 7th Doctor, they want to add more enigma. But you've got to land things sometimes. You can't just say, here's a mystery. Are you ever going to find out? No. Some mysteries, like the Doctor's name, can just stay like that. But if everything's like that, it's just, why do you care? You've got to have something to hang on to. I'm debating going to cinema as well. I've already booked my ticket, so I'm going to be going in a minute. But yeah, I'd say, comment away, please. I do want to reply, but just don't think I'm ignoring you if I don't reply to any further comments for the minute. Thanks, mate. Yeah, and thank you for joining in the core. The core of sci-fi and fantasy. Please follow that page now, as well as, of course, all the Dr. Squee Show pages, and Gallifrey stands. So, make honey from the horns. Oh yeah, we're getting towards the rage of Ncuti. Sonic using the Sonic to disarm was a really great, nice touch. I like uses of the Sonic when you weave it in the episode, but it's to make opening a door easier. Like, it's the old thing of you want the Doctor to be stuck by something, but not by a door, I think was the way RTD said it. And that's how he tried to keep his usages of the Sonic. And I feel like we're seeing a lot of this. It's peppered in, but it's not, I just solved everything by pressing a button of the Sonic, because, again, unsatisfying. But yeah, it's when the Doctor goes full on psyche. It's not Doctor Who then anymore for me. Even if the Doctor had started and maybe just landed one hit on the guy through this like holographic pain inducer, the Doctor's basically using a pain torture device on someone. If he pressed that button once and then he'd heard Susan and he'd stopped, it wouldn't have been my favorite thing, but I could have gone, oh, okay, I sort of see it. He lost it for a minute, but then he became the Doctor again. But he spends like a good minute just wailing on this guy. And I'm sorry, my Doctor is never a bully. He's never a torturer, especially. I hate it in the Chris Eccleston ones where and David Tennant, where he basically bullied Mickey. Like, there was one bit where he left him holding a button. He goes, oh, how long have you been holding it for? 15 minutes. Oh, you could have let go of that 15 minutes ago. It's like, what, to impress a girl? That's who the Doctor is now? And I don't mind some small petty things the Doctor does, like to impress a girl, which, you could say it's like, oh, it's just a little flaw in his, a little fall from his character, his usual character. But doing stuff like that just seems like bullying. And it's like, it's the one thing I just hate in Doctor Who when they do it. It's like, I grew up being bullied. That's the reason why I took to Doctor Who. You're really, there's an old poem which has this line, tread carefully for you tread on my dreams. Doctor Who is my dreams, is my sanctuary from bullying as a kid. And it gives me that feeling now. I'm safe when the Doctor Who's around. I'm not safe around a Doctor who then beats the shit out of the guy. Even with the Ward Doctor, I feel like they've always implied that, they've never shown him doing something where he could never be the Doctor again. Apart from the destruction of Gallifrey and the Daleks at once. I feel like everything until then, he did some less Doctor-like things like using the TARDIS to behead Daleks. That's a cool thing that he's doing, but he's beheading Daleks. So even though the Doctor might not usually do that, he's still on the right side of things. But you can see it's the Doctor dialed up in this kind of warlike fashion. And I always in my head, he made some tough decisions and had to choose the great good sometimes, but he always chose good, even when he destroyed his own people and the Daleks. This is not the Doctor choosing good. It's not the Doctor choosing life in any way, shape, or form. I hate this. I mean, a generally fun, good episode, and I think it might be setting up for regeneration, if I'm honest. I think this is the ice in the heart. This is the moment of him doing bad that the Doctor can't live with, and I think that's going to come out in the next episode, in the finale, is my theory. But it still doesn't make it okay. I love Ncuti's Doctor, and to make him this thug, and it didn't escape my attention. It's the first Black Doctor, and you make them thuggishly hit someone. I just don't think that's great optics. And I know some people go, oh yeah, well they can't do that because it's Black Doctor. No, of course they can, but it's like the first incumbent Black Doctor for him says, oh, it's Jo Martin. I know she was in it for a couple of episodes here and there. He's there every week. He's our Doctor, and if Jo Martin had done this, I'd not be in favor. But I'm saying it's like we haven't had a weekly Doctor who's Black before now, and I don't know. I just see some ties to the way Black people are made out to be thugs by the media sometimes, and by Jesus, they've even shown algorithms for AI, because they're programmed by man, have this inherent bias to it. So shit goes deep with this stuff. I just didn't like the optics. I don't. Yeah. Mavity, again comes up. And it was a whole scene of just them talking Mavity. Just go away. Some ropey science around it all. Gary flirting with the Doctor, and then Gary's partner flirting with the Doctor. Just nice, fun kind of little stuff. And the Doctor's now suddenly back to his fun, adventuring, save the day Doctor. Just after he's beaten the shit out of someone, tortured them, and we're meant to go, oh yeah, but it's the Doctor being fun. Like, that gave me such emotional whiplash. If you're going to do that, make it right at the end of the episode, have the Doctor broken by doing this. But no, the Doctor's just having a good time, and he basically just says to Belle, PTSD, what are you going to do? I don't mind a storyline about PTSD, about the Doctor being triggered. That's all fine, but not like this. Like, this is a line. How do you uncross it? Like, it's like in the Captain America TV show, where they had the guy who took the shield for a while, who's now in Thunderbolts. And spoilers for this TV show, which has been out for years, but he kills a guy with a shield, beheads a guy with Captain America's shield. How do you ever get that blood off Captain America's shield? Well, you get rid of that guy and you get a new guy in. That's a doable way. With the Doctor, though, when you get the new guy in, it's still the Doctor, so he's still the one who did this. You can't remove that stain from the Doctor's character. It doesn't matter the guy's a bad guy. The Doctor is torturing someone. Anyway, I digress. And yeah, I can't have him. He can't be my mate again, who makes me feel secure straight afterwards, especially. I'm sorry, that was for me bad writing to switch it up in that way. Ryan comes back from the dead. Sounds like my career. Really nice line. I think that's an ad lib by Ryland. The song at the end was really nice, very moving, as only Murray Gold can. There's a great aspirational feel to this episode. about Eurovision and how it endures. It shows Eurovision still happening in the future. So I didn't mind that as much, because it's like TV shows like The Weakest Link, or whatever TV shows kind of come and go. Eurovision has stood the test of time. The idea of that living into the future seems real, and it seems aspirational. Like it's like someone showing Doctor Who. After 50 years, I think it's earned the long tail that you could suggest it goes on forever. Weakest Link, though, maybe not so much. Just to complete my thought from earlier. All in all, this episode tries to be too many things. I've said a bit Die Hard, a bit whatever this Doctor was doing, beating a man, a tribute to Die Hard, personal story with a really adorable couple, and I'm sure I could bring out some more, which I've already named. This isn't the way of showing the Doctor is triggered. Yep, we've already done that. Hollow Norton, Graham Norton, then confirms about when the Earth died. I almost wanted him. I know I was arguing against the kind of like silliness during the seriousness, but I almost wanted to go, oh, sad face, and then going back into the information. I don't know why. It just seemed like very Graham Norton. We now get the cloister bell in the end. Very nice. TARDIS doors get blown in, very dramatic ending. And then in the post-credit, we see that bi-generation, which I've already mentioned. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. Wow, a head-spinning quick, nearly hour through 2 episodes, which had a lot to be said about. So for this one, it's kind of worked out well. It's only me, because otherwise we'd still be talking to the wee hours if I had some people to bounce off with this one, or these two. So that's us caught up. The next episode of Gallifrey Stands should be sometime tomorrow, to be confirmed. Keep an eye, like basically follow youtube.com/Dr. Squee, and new episodes will be up there live or pre-recorded. And we will also have the launch party for Squee Fest, where we're raising money for the Owl Centre. But that's youtube.com/Dr. Squee for everything Dr. Squee show, everything Gallifrey Stands, and all the other host of shows which I host. So thanks, guys. Thank you very much to Chorus Sci-Fi, who's just subscribed. Really appreciate it. Anyone watching this later, you can still subscribe now. You can still catch this later if you've not caught it all. Good stream. Thank you so much. Enjoy the episode. Thank you, the core of Sci-Fi. I love John Hurt as the Ward Doctor. Yes, and I have heard the audio adventures. They were great. I know I'm going against myself and doing these, but I thought there was only a couple of you left, so let's catch up. Yeah, the audios were great. I mean, not only the fact that John Hurt was brought in for them and did an amazing job, and I loved hearing him talk about how honoured he felt to be in Doctor Who, despite the fact that he wasn't a Whovian himself. It's really nice. It meant something to him, which meant something to me. And then John Carney, who's becoming, as the Ward Doctor begins range. Man, if you haven't heard this, at least just look up John Carney Ward Doctor on YouTube. I could not, if you'd said this was audio which they'd used AI to recreate John Hurt's voice from when he was younger, you'd believe it. It sounds like young John Hurt, which I loved when they did the War Doctor. We saw that kind of reflection just after he regenerated in the cup of him young, which just the War Doctor spent decades being the War Doctor. You know, he lived through shit. And I love that idea. And then to bring in the beginnings of the War Doctor through John Carney was amazing. So anyway, I'm going to have to call it there, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching. I'm Dr. Squee. This was Gallifrey Stands. Until next time, live like you've got 2 hearts. And please be kind. And don't knock the microphone.